So that was a drift for you there at my recent drift day. You notice there wasn't any commentary at all when I was driving. Normally you can't shut me up, but I had nothing to say during that drift day because it took all my concentration, took everything out of me to hold those big drifts. So here we are doing something a little bit different. I'm here with Kelly.
Hi guys, I'm Kelly.
And today we're going to talk a little about drifting.
So Sam, that was a really cool drift.
Thanks.
So tell me, how did you get into this?
I didn't really. This is a new thing for me. I come from a road racing background. I raced motorbikes. That's how I cut my teeth at the track. I used to race two-stroke Honda NSR50 sport bikes. They're tiny little bikes we race at the kart track. That's where I really learned to drive on the track and learn my racecraft. Learning the racing line, learning to pass, learning to be passed. And I moved on slowly towards cars, right? Before that, it was with the bike club was PC MRC, Mini Road Racing BC. And then I got into doing car reviews and doing track days with cars to entertain you lot mostly, doing car reviews. And eventually I started doing more track days with my own cars. And some of you have seen my recent track day video in the GT4 at the Ridge Raceway, which is fast becoming my favorite circuit. Really, really nice track in Washington. And the event is hosted by my friend Carlson Chan at the speed syndicate Rev C. So for people who are new to track days or you want to try, you're in the Washington area or BC area, definitely check out Carlson Chan and come get your feet wet at the track and try it out. But anyway, we're here to talk about the drift. And I got into it because my friend, a good friend of mine, Brody, he is a local track superstar. He's actually a Formula D pro, so he actually does drifting at the highest level, licensed by Formula D, and he competes. So he invited me to one of his practice days. He was there with some of his friends, and I said, sure, I would love to join. And he was out with his old race car that's now driven by his friend Keith Carter. So Keith was driving his race car, and Brody was out giving all of us some pointers on drifting. So he helped me out quite a bit. And Brody's just a phenomenal driver. Like, he blows my mind with how good he drives. You should check out if you guys haven't seen it, check out his YouTube or his Instagram at Brody Goebel. Amazing driving. And that's what inspired me. Watching Brody drive inspired me to try some of this. And of course, we watch it all the time, don't we, on YouTube? We see Top Gear, Chris Harris, you see Eagle Mag. Everybody's got seems to be the thing to do is get the car all lit up, four-wheel smoking tires smeared on the tarmac.
So this was your first time drifting?
It was my first time drifting, yeah.
That was pretty awesome.
Thank you, thanks.
Were you intimidated at all?
I was, actually. It was intimidating because when I got there, it was this new track I'd never been to. They were driving around and they all had full-on race cars, right? Like Brody's Formula Drift car, all the other guys there were practicing with full-on built-up drift cars. And I was the only road car there. This is like a grocery getter by comparison, yeah. And, I was looking out there, do I really want to do this? Do I really want to subject my car to this? I don't want to hit anything. That's the main thing, of course. But once I started getting into it, getting a few practice runs in and just feeling out the balance of the car on this particular circuit, it's a very different experience than driving on the track. I've driven lots on the track, but this is different because the way you approach corners is different. And you see these Formula Drift guys, like in Keith Carter in Brody's car, he was smoking the rear tires across a high-speed oval. Like a NASCAR circuit oval? He was up on the oval, on the banking, destroying the tires, smoke everywhere. 100 feet high was the smoke. And he would do this lap after lap, right, on the steering lock, on the lock stops. So it was intimidating being in that company. They were all very good drivers. But I started slow, got myself into the groove, got myself into the rhythm, and I realized that this drifting is actually a very, very different discipline from road racing and track days. When you're doing road racing, doing track days, the idea is not to slide. You want to kind of stay hooked up because the fastest way around corner actually isn't drifting. Drifting is actually quite slow. Drifting is slow, but it's spectacular to watch. It is very, very challenging and it's fun as hell, which is why we all love to do it and look great on camera. So that's why we drift. But it's not the fastest way around a corner, and the fastest way around a corner really often involves not drifting. You want to use the most grip out of your front and rear tires as possible around the corner, maximize your cornering speed, but not go past it, because once you go past it, you start to lose grip. So when you're doing track days and road racing, you're kind of doing the opposite. You're turning in, you're staying hooked up, you're hitting the apex, hitting the points, But of course, there are a lot of situations in track days where you do get a bit sideways. You might come out of the corner a hair early in the throttle, your tail comes up, you recover, and you continue. So that happens a lot at track days. Or you might hit a bump or something unexpected happens, you get your car crossed up and you recover. So track day and road racers are very good at recovering from slides or having small slides out of the corner. Drifting is a different discipline. In drifting, you basically want to get the car completely sideways and lit up and smoking when you enter the corner. And that's the most challenging part I found, because when you turn in, you got to hoof the throttle and get the car sideways. But that's a real danger zone there, because when you're being that aggressive with the car, it's very easy to get into a spin right away. If you aren't aggressive enough, you don't get the sideways and you kind of just wash away your front, you understeer. So understeer is when you lose grip from the front, you basically just go straight off the course. Okay, that's understeer. And oversteer is like drifting, and you get the rear wheels loose and get rear wheels starting to overtake the front, and you make a beautiful slide. So that's oversteer. So with the drift, discipline, you're basically entering the corner and getting the car as sideways as you can, as quickly as you can. And then once the car settles out and takes a set, you feel the car settle onto this outside rear wheel. So if we're going, we're turning left, we get tail out to the right, all the weight is now on the outside rear wheel. And at that point, you're just balancing the throttle and the steering and holding the car in that angle and just holding that balance. And that's a lot of fun. The car is actually really stable at that point of the drift. And the feeling is magical, Kelly. It feels like taking a crayon and smearing it on hot tarmac.
I like that description.
And that's what it feels like in the middle of a drift. And you're doing that for as long as you can through the corner, and as you come out, you're looking at the exit, and then that's when you start to just feather off the throttle, you're peeling off the throttle, you're breathing off of it, and you can just start to recovery and unwind the steering. In time, you're unwinding. So with a track day and road racing background, it's very easy to actually, balancing the slide wasn't hard. Balancing the slide wasn't hard at all. I feel quite experienced doing it. And then the recovery wasn't difficult either, because from track days and road racing, you get a lot of experience recovering oversteer and corner exit. It's the initiation that really got me every time. It took me half a day to get the right level of aggression. And I found that in this particular car, I was fighting a lot of understeer. So it was really a matter of finding the right entry speed, getting hard on the throttle without spinning, and just counter steering fast right away and getting the car to take the stable set. And once I feel the car take a set, it's smooth sailing. Then it's fun. Then the fun begins.
So do you think your Porsche Cayman GT4 was a good drifting car?
Yes and no. I think it's a good drift car because, I managed to pull it off. Some video, I was getting pretty sideways. So I think it's a pretty good drift car there. And it looks good doing it.
Yeah, it looks good.
It's not such a good drift car in the sense that I think the ideal drift car, based on my experience so far, is really a front engine rear drive car. This is a mid-engine rear drive car. So a mid-engine car has actually got a fantastic balance. It's got really good feel on the track. The entire weight of the car is rotating around a center point in the car, which is right around the driver. It's right around here. And you feel the front and rear ends moving with a lot of sensitivity and in unison. But I find that a front engine rear drive car like an M3 and M4 are just a bit more stable. They're less twitchy, they're less on a knife edge, and I think as a drift platform, and the types of cars you see doing real drifting are all front engine rear drive, so that tells you something.
Like what type?
Well, Brody and his 240 built up 240SX. You see 3 Series M3s, that kind of thing, right? And this isn't that. This is more of a race car. It's got the engine in the correct place. People like to say traditional racing is mid-engine. But I found that it also made the car quite a little bit edgy at the limits. When I'm in the middle of a slide, there were a few situations where I thought I totally had everything under control, and then just an edge of weight transfer happening from the engine from behind me, pulling me into a big, long, lazy slide. A few times it happened. I'm like, what just happened there? And I really think it's because it's just having that mass in the rear makes it on a bit of a knife edge when you're on the limits. Okay. That said, I think there's a lot that can be done to this car to improve the driftability. From the factory, this car is set up with quite a bit of understeer. And remember, understeer is when the front tires just wash wide. You don't have enough front grip. You enter the corner too fast and the front just washes away. Okay? So I found that I was, especially in the early part of the day, I was struggling a lot with understeer. I turned in hard, the front would just scrub away, and then I would hoof the throttle to balance it to get the rear to rotate. And then I'd just get into a spin because it would snap oversteer. Lots of understeer and it'd snap oversteer. Just fighting the car. in the ideal setup, what I'd like for this car to feel like is enter the corners and I want all 4 tires to already be at the limits, right? At the right speed, I want all 4 tires to just start to scrub, and I can just ease on the throttle and put all that grip, all that weight transfer to the outside edge of the car and ride out the drift. That would be my ideal setup. Now to that end, there's actually some adjustability in the suspension. GT4s come with fully adjustable suspension, and one of the features is the anti-roll bar setup. So anti-roll bars are 2 stabilizer bars or sway bars, people like to call it different things, but they basically limit the independence of the left and right sides of the car, okay? That's not really that important for this purpose. It limits the roll of the car, but you can actually adjust the relative strengths to adjust the cornering balance to understeer, oversteer. So from the factory, it comes with middle front and middle rear. What I've done after I got home is I got into the car myself and I put the rear anti-roll bar to full stiff and front anti-roll bar to full soft. So that is the full max oversteer drift setup. It's a hard rear, soft front, and I can already feel the car's balances change when I turn into just a hair less understeer. It's more eager when you get on the throttle. So I think with this setup, and I go, I'll find out when I go back to the track. I think it should be better. And even on regular track day, the last time I was out the ridge on some of the high-speed sweeper sections, long, fast corners, I found that I was fighting the understeer, just constantly fighting for front end grip. And I think with that change, it should make a big difference. So, to answer your question, is the GT4 a good drift platform? Yeah, it's actually pretty good. I think with some setup changes, it'll be an even better drift car.
So how did your tires hold up?
It's a good question. I thought my tires would be toast. I thought I'd be riding back in a trailer, in Brody's trailer, right? I was like, drifting, are you kidding me? I'm not going to come back with the stock tires. I'm still on my original set of tires, believe it or not. So I've done a full track day at the Ridge with Calson Chan and Speed Syndicate Rev Scene at the Ridge. And I did a full drift day with Brody. And I still got plenty of rubber left. I'm going for another track day in this set of tires.
Wow.
Yeah, Michelin Pilot, these Sport Cup 2s, they are cup tires, so they didn't have a whole lot of tread to begin with, to be granted. They aren't really wet day tires. But, 2 track days later, they actually still got plenty of rubber. I'm not at the wear bar yet. I still have rubber left, legitimately.
Yeah.
Yes, I think so too. A lot of people might look down at drifting. They say, "Oh, it's like they think it's a synchronized swimming of the driving world, right? It's kind of for show as fans. It's not race. You're not doing lengths for speed. Or you're not competing for speed. You're not competing for time. You're competing for show." But I personally don't see anything wrong with that because it's challenging. It's very, very difficult. Not everyone can do it. It's a skill that needs to be built up over time. And there's grace and real kind of sensitivity to it. You have to be very in tune with the car, with what the car is telling you. And I think knowing how to drift will make you a better track day road race driver because you're so sensitive to the car at the limit. And you can take the car and the tires so far past the limits and still know how to recover from it. You don't just give up, right? You can still eke out a little bit more grip and get the car back in line. So that's why I want to do it. I want to become a better driver. And I think this is one way to do it, is to learn to drift from guys like Brody.
Yeah, very nice.
Hey, well done, by the way. I got to mention, we did our GT Prestige rally with Porsche Center Vancouver last weekend.
Yeah,
that was fun.
that
High five.
was awesome.
So we got second place out of 18 teams in the Porsche GT Prestige rally. If you want to check out photos from that and see a little bit more from the event, check out my Instagram at driveopolis. More videos to come, and maybe Kelly will be in the next video as well. So make sure you subscribe to YouTube, youtube.com/driveopolis. Website is on the way. I know I keep mentioning the website. I'm working on it. It's busy. It's summertime. Okay, I'm trying. Please give me a little more time. We'll have a full website for you guys to check out soon. I'm trying to do this stuff to entertain you a lot and entertain myself. So hope you enjoy it. Hope you enjoyed this little drift video. Hope you learn a little bit more about drifting. Let me know in the comments below what you think, whether I should keep drifting in the Cayman GT4, whether I should build up a more dedicated drift car, say a 240 SX, or find a, E46 M3 or E92 M3. I don't know, those would be pretty good drift platforms, I think. Yeah. You guys, GT4 guys out there, if you guys want to know how to adjust the anti-roll bars DIY, if you guys interested in that, let me know. I'll probably do a video for you. I'm kind of an expert on it now. I've done it for my own car. I noticed there's no tutorials out there for it, and the service manual doesn't actually mention how to adjust it. They only tell you about removing it and putting it back on, which is kind of similar. But anyway, if you want to know how to do it DIY, just let me know in the comments below and I can put a video together for you. I don't want to do it if nobody's interested. So there we have it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.
Thank you.